Welcome back, fellow gamers. This is Gamer1745. You might notice the map has changed ever so slightly. This last week hasn't been good for this playthrough. If you've noticed, previous week I had trouble getting Baldur's Gate installed, and it takes nearly 24 hours to get through the various processes to get that game installed with all those mods. And so it ties up my computer. So I had a few games sort of saved up to put on, but then I had to reinstall that an additional time. So that delayed that, and then some other minor situations. And then I had a situation where I recorded 2 playthroughs for this thing, and one of them got flagged for copyrighted material because I gathered, though I haven't gotten a clear understanding whether the BlackICE team has legal use rights for the sound effects they use or not, because I know you can buy CDs, DVDs of sound effects and like stock photos that are royalty free. I just presumed that they had something like that for their sound effects, but I haven't yet got clear notification to be able to, because I had the ability to dispute it. So I scrapped, you never saw, two episodes, and so I refought the Polish campaign, which you just saw. Those last 2 were the refights based on that, because with reverting back to the stock Hearts of Iron select sounds and combat sounds and all that stuff. And then at the end of the last session, as my recording software, after I just finished the recording, it crashed, which crashed the game, and I had yet to save the game, so I had to go back to the monthly save and refight the last few days of June there, where that one ended at June 9th. This one ends at June 8th, or June 5th, with the surrender of Poland. So slight continuity problems, minor overall, but no real significant change for the overall outcome of the events. And I'm not going back in to replay to prove that I can win or anything like that. It's just technical difficulties. So, and that was also why the near 24-hour delay on the getting stuff up there, because I had to re-upload. Upload takes quite a while for these things with my slow upload connection. So okay, well, we're back. We've conquered Poland, and now we got to prepare for both the invasion of the Low Countries and into France and into the north. Now, the thing I want to quickly check here is these things are not going to be available until August. This, as I mentioned before, is one of my disagreements with the BlackICE team, and I have previously modded personally things the way I've wanted them, but I haven't done that with gameplay things here for this playthrough, because I wanted to play it as basically as BlackICE with its benefits or hindrances or whatever. Early Japanese invasions, early German invasions of like Norway. And were basically the ships pulling up, sometimes warships, sometimes just cargo or various passenger transport ships pulling up, and the people just getting off of them. Sometimes, often using like ships' boats, which are not landing craft per se. They're just, some people might sort of describe them as like lifeboats, but real sort of boats, ship's boats that they used that could be lowered, and they have an outboard motor or something like that on them, and just driving into the port or driving up to the beach and getting off. They weren't invasion craft, landing craft, well done. And the earliest that I know of, at least sort of in the modern year, of a naval invasion against an opposed beach landing using ships' boats from warships, basically, and transport ships, was a British invasion into Egypt during the Napoleonic, or maybe a little more technically, the Revolutionary War period, there, in the late 1700s, early, I don't know, was it 1801 or whatever. Not exactly sure the exact date. And it was against an opposed invasion, and they used some light cannonades mounted on the ship's boats, as well as some of the shallower drafted vessels coming in closer to the beaches and doing cannon fire to suppress the enemy lined up on the beach to shoot at them, and they were very effective. The cannons firing from the ships, they just sent the enemy that were facing the guys rowing into shore with troops in the middle of their boats off to be able to do an opposed landing. So the idea that Germany needs to research and develop something like the Higgins boat, if you know about it, the sort of what we think is the classic D-Day invasion craft, to be able to do invasions, I think is historically and factually incorrect. Germany didn't need to do it. Germany did. We developed a lot of stuff based on the Rhine River barges to do that type of thing, convert us stuff for a British invasion, because they knew it was going to be a very seriously opposed invasion. Now, that invasion never happened, and Germany did build a lot of these conversion things. So I agree that a purpose-built, rapid, effective, moving mechanized forces ashore kind of invasion needs a Higgins boats, tank landing ships, and all of these things that we see developed by the time D-Day happened. I'm not disputing that. But putting ashore light infantry type units, putting ashore, clicking through to them here, mountain warfare type units that are using pack artillery, which is light artillery, infantry, Pack 36 anti-tank gun at this time in 1940, if you know what it is, the 37 millimeter, I can get ashore. These recon cavalry is sort of a misnomer here with all this stuff. There were more recon troops. Some countries were still using specific cavalry for their reconnaissance elements, but a lot of, the most German divisions were using recon infantry. They were just reconnaissance foot units, and that's what I don't believe any of the mountain divisions had reconnaissance cavalry units, but they had reconnaissance elements to their formations. Most assuredly, they did. And so these type of units, landing them from a liner like these, or as the DIG DLC had very minor carrying capacity for some German naval vessels. Basically, you got a bunch of German naval vessels, and you could put together, and you could put one division ashore with it, or paired it with a few transports to be able to do like the Narvik landings up here that Germany did. So we don't yet have that option. These guys can't do landings, opposed landings at the time. I don't yet have, because they were put in by an event, have auxiliary vessels that have some landing capability yet, and I don't know that I'm planning on waiting until August to do that. So we're going to get prepared for a invasion of Denmark and Norway. We're going to have to rely heavily on our air power. We should also have these fun guys added to them. So make sure we're getting enough. Yeah, we want that reinforced so that we can do an airborne invasion. Into here, we can look and see quickly. I think Narvik should be just combination of history and, as I mentioned in an earlier thing, Sweden exported required at least during the winter months, export of its steel production through Norway there. I do understand that during summertime they could get it out through Swedish rail and ports and whatnot. But so that is a victory element and a reason that should be held and would be something that could keep Norway into the fight if, say, Britain and France, which, if you're not aware of it, Britain and France at this time was preparing an invasion of Norway. They were going to invade. They were hoping that it would be a bloodless, sort of cooperative kind of invasion that, yeah, you know, there's nothing we can do about it. The British and the French are invading. I don't think they really thought Norwegians were going to be happy enough faced with an Allied invasion that they were going to actively join the Allied cause as a nation. But they thought they would put up with it, I think, is what they thought or hoped, and not have a real strong resistance to an Allied invasion. But they were preparing an invasion, and to the best of my knowledge, it wasn't, oh, we know the Germans are going to do this, so we're preempting them. I really believe they were just planning on, because they knew that Germany, unlike what's happening here with all this, was requiring Swedish steel, and there was a lot of trade through there, and they were going to cut that off. And they also, I think, thought the German invasion was quite possible, but it wasn't purely we're going to forestall them by, or we know that they were doing it, so we're going to go in there. You know that they were invading, and we're just going in sooner. So they knew that it was that they were going to do that. So they were prepared for when Germany did do it, because they had already had troops and everything organizing up to go in and invade. So that's why they were able to get into Narvik quick enough to oppose the Germans up there. It wasn't really there, sort of like that. Oh, we now found out about it, and so we're jumping into it that quick. No, they were already on the way, basically, and getting stuff set up. So we've got to do that. And now, even if we're going to be doing primarily an airborne invasion, we're going to need some additional ground troops. That's why I've moved basically the I'm hoping you guys find this interesting, why I'm doing some of this stuff. Move my mountain corps here, not because they're needed for mountain fighting here in the flatlands, is that if we successfully airdrop into here, then we can reinforce with some mountain troops. We may be doing, and I'm going to see whether I wait for the ships or not, do a naval invasion out here in Bergen, put some troops there. So we're going to see about that. The next thing is what we're going to do for sure is shift our armies west. Okay, we're going to click and take the whole of my armored and motorized forces there. And we're going to send them here. So they're just going to go and the 8th Army. We will need a little bit of reorganization here. We're going to leave him. I'm just going to quickly check here. We're going to want the conf group in the west. Okay, we're going to take the 8th Army total. Click there. Select it all. I'm just going to move it right here. That's the province that gets bombed a lot. Let's just move it here, and then I will separate out. Don't like that. Let's move them here. separate out where I'm going to put the divisions once we get them into the west. Just trying to use a little bit of a meat axe, if you will. I'm going to leave these guys here. They're just, you know, militia. Relatively well supported militia, but militia nonetheless. 4th Army. Let's again take a quick look and see what. We will leave that unit in the west or in the east. And we'll leave that unit in the east. Yeah, I'm taking the nice pretty units because they're a little better equipped. And these units were, quite honestly, because notice I haven't like attached engineers, they were meant to be sort of here in the east as units facing a semi-motorized unit. We're definitely going to send that west, facing the Soviets as, you know, garrisons here in the east. Now I'm just gonna let's just see. A little too big. Yeah, that looks about right. I'm gonna send these guys here to deal with, be the ground forces for dealing with Denmark. Okay, that's a pretty good division, so we will take that west with us. Yeah. We're going to leave this corps. So the 3rd Army is going to head. We'll send them to Bonn for the moment. Yeah, I know 3rd Army isn't that big. And here. Additional motorized forces. Yeah, we'll send all those. This mountain division here may be useful in that campaign, so we're going to send them up to there. I should be doing it like I am pretty quick, so this is, I don't think I need to like break this out into a reorganization special. Oh, we lost them. These, I think the main reason we don't have a leader there is similar things, is just because they get pulled away by some event. Okay, these are all going to be, I think, former Czech equipped units here. We've inherited, so we're going to break this army off, or this corps off there. Leave that in the east as well. Okay, that's our all those forces are going to move west. I'm moving them via the army. Okay, I want to quickly see. Okay, Brauhitsch, he's doing well. Skill 4, lots of good traits. And von Rundstedt. Skill 5, more good traits, still moving up. Now, Hadler's good, but he's not that good. What's good about him is he's both the quartermaster and logistics wizard. And back. So these guys are good, but they're not going to be who I want leading my forces for the invasion of France. It's sort of both good and bad doing what I'm doing. It's good in that it gets the best people to the job. Sort of bad in that these people now that I'm not fighting won't have had a chance to increase in skill. So I had previously in some of my games used these guys more as core leaders and tried to skill them up, but I don't know, it's good and bad. Alright, so any other decisions we have facing us at the moment now? Okay, let's run the clock a little bit. I also want your feedback. Had one of the viewers request that I use the political map either entirely or just more often. I'm fine with using it sometimes, you know, going over and checking to see statuses and things. But for me, I just know it so well that it's not overly useful. Armor unit command control. So, and I just sort of thought this map looks a little more pleasant. When I really need to know terrain types, like finding where the swamps are, because if I'm going to be sending somebody in to fight in the swamps, you don't really want to head that out with an armored division. You want to send in some light infantry. So when terrain really becomes a bit of a factor, I go to this map. But this I thought was the most pleasant map. So I would like feedback on this. I don't want one person dictating if everyone disagrees. I'm moderately happy to do what the general community does for what map modes. Obviously when I need to look at some naval stuff like we can do while this is shifting here, we want to go to the map mode of, you know, for naval warfare here. Check that out just a second there. See how well we're doing. We have to get to the right modes. Oh, those are still doing fairly well. We're sinking a lot of vessels. Here we're not. Okay, we'll send them down here. Convoy ready. Here or not either. Okay. So, yeah, and when obviously I'm looking for revolt risks, like we've got a lot there obviously for the moment, but then I need to switch to the functional maps. Okay, another division that I've he gets his new shiny new division. Let's send it over here. Oh, and I want to take these other divisions that I've been using for general holding the line. That's what I want them to do. Sending them over here. Because like I say, these are useful, but they're not great divisions. Okay, and we also do need to, because like that revolt risk, that's in some of the Totenkopf Verbandsstandarten in his occupational situations. Isn't there some up there? Yeah. And this is how they were used. I'm not saying these necessarily specifically this unit or that unit, it's just, but generally how they were used as occupational duties troops. They were not the Waffen-SSs and properly armed for combat, but they were armed with rifles, pistols, light machine guns, and yes, they put them to very unpleasant uses at times, but we're just thinking of them primarily, and I'm using them for is to reduce revolt risk, keep the people in line. Oh, South Africa's joined the Allies. Oh, uh-oh. We're about ready to get through there. So we have to react to that. Okay, as long as we get in there before things become too much of a problem. But I don't know that we will. We may have a real problem here. Okay, yes, we will honor the pact. There's a bunch of negative consequences. I can see some people wanting to do that, but I don't see a good enough reason, especially since I want to keep trading with the Soviet Union to supply me with raw materials. Okay, so we've honored the pact. And yes, now we have troops in. Others countries, others territories. Okay, let's go down here. Okay, he's doing his bit there, that's fine. We're going to see if we can use some air power on these. I know they have some anti-aircraft guns. With air power, I just don't know that they've, I'm not talking about so much BlackICE, but if it's as effective as it should be without being, too overly effective. In this situation here. Let's move him up there. Some good disrupting them. Don't know it's going to save us from having to reinvade our own portion of the west wall here. That's what comes from not paying attention. Okay, we have lost, so they are coming in. I'm going to hope. Let's see how this goes. We'll do what we can to disrupt them. hoping that we'll get there before they get dug in properly, at least. No. Gotta do this part of the brow hitch is going to get command there. We're going to give von Rundstedt which may not have the appropriate rank for. Yeah, he needs to be up one. France did carry out, I forget the name of it, one sort of invasion situation like this that did push into some German territory, but wasn't ever fully like taking a full province. Let's see if we have some good tactical bombers here. Can they make it, or do I have to reposition? Too far away. They might. Yeah, ground attack. So we made it there in time, and it stopped that invasion there. Alright, a little bit of excitement. Okay, artillery unit command and control is increased. That has opened up artillery flexibility, so we want to do that. I want to make sure I have one more division down there, just in case things get a little hairy again. We're still fighting the Polish fleet in exile, in essence. Since we're here. Rangefinding equipment. Okay, it's one of those for some reason. I don't know what I hit by accident. Also don't need that right now. I'm gonna convert it to that. I want to look over here. So close to that. Well, we're gonna do this. This will help us. No, we're already in the red. More stuff will be coming. Good, we're taking out the Polish fleet slowly, bit by bit. Medium warship radar has increased. That's good. That's here. Okay, looking for here. That's this. Them across the border. All of the other Totenkopfstandarte. Yeah, this will get better here once we officially reorganize it back into the Reich. Okay. Okay. I want you to stop raiding. No order. Once I regain control, I'm going to send you way up there. Okay, again, we need to take a quick look at the... Okay, they're not sending any convoys north here. So... move you, convoy rating, passive. I really sort of want them to, if I don't catch it, if they've lost their organization enough, I want them to go back home and reorganize. I don't want them to keep desperately trying to sink convoys out there. I know we'll lose some, part of the game, part of history. Let's see how our fighters in the west here are doing. Well, very good, I would say, because none of them are disorganized, so they're all doing well. Now what I need to do though is stop that bombing campaign before it completely shreds my forces. Oh, they're already in no order. Because they got disorganized enough. Yeah, they can keep doing that. No order, no order, no order. Okay. So they had already stopped the campaign because of the anti-aircraft in that province, which is at least one, but be a bit more. Okay, we're going to send him back. Once those guys get retreated, we'll send them back to their original starting points. The fortress blasting artillery takes forever to retreat, which is quite reasonable, especially if you are thinking it's railway artillery. Civil defense advance, good. Okay, this... Okay, here. Loss of manpower because it's, again, home front focus. You know, less guys on the front line, but it means more, basically, aviation or anti-aircraft gunners, repair rates improved, and supply productions help. So yes, we'll go with that. And direct fire unit training has approved. Okay, so we're going to shift this over to infantry unit training. Get them ready for that. Okay, let's give it a couple more days here. So they're also attacking here. Don't want them all stacked in one province. Okay, that'll get, I think, an appropriate amount of units to their destination, or very near it. I'll have to do a little fine-tuning, I think, before I start the invasion, but... Okay. I want to produce a couple more good infantry divisions here. And we'll throw in anti-tank as well. Okay, I'm going to have to end this session here. We'll be back for another one.